Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be in front of the committee. I don't think I've ever been in front of State Affairs before, so. I'd like to recognize Jason Castilla, who is one of my constituents there in Emmett, and he's the one that knows more about this bill than myself. But this has to do with the National Defense Authorization Act and our concerns about indefinite containment of citizens. In 2012, under the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 1021 and 1022 had some questions about enemy combatants. The concern is that the war on terrorism and the United States being defined as a battlefield that interferes with the right of habeas corpus of citizens, and so this RS is to print and basically state it's the policy of the state of Idaho that citizens of Idaho cannot be detained as enemy combatants or treated that way unless they're part of the military or actually a declaration of war. And if there's, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd stand for questions.
Okay. Senator Wolf.
Mr. Chairman, I move we print RS 22631.
Motion print by Senator Fulcher. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Senator Sitaway. So the motion to print, is there a discussion? Senator Wolf.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I have a number of questions, if I could.
Oh, go ahead.
Senator, thank you for bringing the RS. I guess I need to understand where this comes from. I'm not sure that I understand exactly what the concern is. So if you could go back 5, 6, or 10 steps and explain the exact nature of the problem that you're trying to solve here. I haven't experienced as of yet indefinite detention. I haven't seen concentration camps as of yet in Idaho or anywhere in the United States that I know of. But I'd like you to please step all the way back and let us know where this is coming from, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if I could, I think in the interest of time, it'd probably be explained better by Mr. Casilla than myself. So if I could
You can, yeah. We typically don't take testimony at a print hearing, but we do allow a presenter to defer questions, and so I think that's appropriate. And if you would want to defer to that, if you could step up to the mic and just identify yourself, and then if you wouldn't mind, respond to that question.
Thank you. My name is Jason Casella. I'm the PANDA state coordinator, which is the People Against the NDAA. The concerns are that sections 1021 and 1022 declare the entire world a battlefield, and they say that anybody can be detained without charge or trial indefinitely. The wording in these sections, and I sent each of you an email the other day, I think it was yesterday, that basically lays this out. And there was actually a judge from the Supreme Court, Justice Scalia, last week that was just quoted saying that anybody who thinks that this will not happen again is naive. So Senator Work, if that's what you're referring to, a Supreme Court justice just talked about this last week, and I sent an article to each of you in that regard. So what this resolution would do is it would restore our constitutional rights, because these sections of the NDAA basically trump the Constitution in the eyes of who passed it. And it was passed by Republicans and Democrats. This is a nonpartisan issue, and this is a human rights issue. The basic fundamental right of having a trial by jury if you're suspected of a crime. And with these sections, you don't have to have any proof, and you get no due process at all. You just get thrown away and indefinitely detained by the military if you are suspected of being a terrorist. And the wording in the NDAA says very vaguely to support, substantially support, and it also leaves a lot of doors and windows open if you have no due process of law at all. So this is like I said, to restore our Constitution and the basic fundamental rights of if you're being charged with something, you have the right to defend yourself, and not just be thrown away indefinitely.
Thank you.
So I would like to answer any questions you would have.
Follow up? Or?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. And thank you, sir, I appreciate that explanation. So, is it your contention that the NDAA bill codifies indefinite detention?
It does, and the laws of war to be applied on American citizens. Yes.
So it's your contention that you believe that it does? Is that correct?
My contention, yes, and a lot of other people, including constitutional attorneys and people from all different types of groups on both sides of the aisle, yes.
Senator Work, follow?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sir, do you then, would you believe then that the part of the point of the National Defense Authorization Act would be to allow the indefinite detention of large groups of American citizens?
It could be large groups of American citizens, it could be individuals as well. And Judge Catherine Forrest, in Hedges versus Obama, the Supreme Court case that's going on right now, actually ruled this to be unconstitutional, but the very next day the current administration asked for an emergency stay, which was granted. And in Judge Catherine Forrest's wording, she said that this severely has a chilling effect on the First Amendment rights. If people are afraid of being detained indefinitely, they are going to be afraid to speak their mind.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
may I ask a question of Senator Thing, please?
Yes, go ahead, Senator Thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, have you received an Attorney General opinion about the nature of this bill, the constitutionality, any difficulties that this would arise from the ultimate passage of this bill?
I have not, Mr. Chairman. Senator Work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I might add that as far as the chronological order of the offense that have unfolded in Supreme Court cases and the two views of this bill, I would lay out in greater detail if this received a hearing. So I think you could see where our concerns come from.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? So,
Mr. Chairman, just to make a comment.
oh, go ahead, Senator.
There is a motion on the floor at this point. Mr. Chairman, normally speaking, I believe that deference should be given to print bills. I truly believe that that we should print bills because we should discuss ideas. I think that it's difficult to know where the line gets drawn between a bill that responsibly presents an idea out to the public and one that doesn't. And I'm just having a little bit of difficulty in the research that I've been able to quickly do in determining whether or not this bill serves the interest of informing the public or whether or not this bill does just the opposite. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on printing this bill.
Okay, thank you. We have the motion before the committee is to print RS 22631. So is there any further discussion on that?
Chairman,
Senator Davis.
Chairman, I'm with Senator Work and my strong desire to accommodate members of the body in their request to print. But this bill appears to do nothing more than try and say that federally enacted law doesn't apply in Idaho. And I have to admit, the sponsor of the legislation, and I'm just a comment, this isn't a question, Senator Thing, you can sit down. I share some of the very concerns that have been expressed behind it. So I'll do some more homework as well on the issue because I'm frankly behind the curve as well. I will accommodate a member of our caucus in the request to print, but I don't see that this is something that is likely to be enforceable as a matter of law. And so I look forward to learning more about it, regardless of whether the issue's advanced.
Thank you. Other comments or? Then, all in favor of the motion to print, please say aye. Opposed, nay?
No.
Ayes have it, and it will be printed. Committee, we now have
One day, somebody's gonna have to say enough.